Hi. Loneliness. It's a part of the puzzle of life that we'd rather not have to deal with, but it's probably as unavoidable as physical pain or any other unpleasant experience in life. So it helps to find ways to deal with loneliness when we run into it. One thing that's important to understand is the difference between loneliness and aloneness. Having time alone or having one's own space is really necessary for mental health. We need time away from others to simply be with our own thoughts, feelings, activities, and so on. Now, some people tend to be quieter and more introverted, like myself. They feel comfortable with more time alone and can feel overloaded if they're constantly around other people. They need more time alone to decompress, so to speak, from an abundance of social activity. Now, this isn't loneliness, although it might appear that way to other people. Other people have, other people have less need for alone time. They enjoy being with others almost all the time and feel energized by a lot of social interaction. But even these extroverts need some time just for themselves. When they do take this time, others may notice the change and worry that their friend is lonely. But that's not necessarily the case. Having time alone doesn't equate to loneliness, no matter the person's personality. Now, loneliness is not really a matter of behavior, like choosing to be alone or with others. Loneliness is really a matter of perception. It has to do with a person's perception of whether or not they have a connection with others. That connection doesn't have to be a physical connection, as in, being in the same room with other people. It can be a perceived connection, a perceived emotional or relational or spiritual or even a cosmic or universal connection with others. For example, many of us have had the experience of feeling lonely in a room full of people because we don't know anybody or we feel we don't fit in or for some other reason. Being around people doesn't guarantee we can avoid loneliness. On the other hand, a person can be alone miles from anyone else and not feel lonely because they feel the care of a loved one. They perceive that. Or they feel included in God's family with everyone else. This perceived connection with others tends to prevent loneliness. Now, feeling lonely at times is unavoidable, but there are some ways to make it less severe and unpleasant. The first thing is to work on being connected with oneself. It's difficult to feel connected with others when I'm not connected with myself. Now, that might sound strange, but this has to do with self-image, as in loving oneself. It has to do with being congruent and genuine as a person, and having a sense of being connected to something greater than oneself, which is one way of talking about humility. The number one cause of loneliness is believing that I'm not worthy or important enough that others would want to be around me. So I stay disconnected from others. Or I spend all my time and energy trying to make myself important and worthwhile so that others will like me. And I never get around then to actually connecting with others in meaningful ways. Genuine connection with others requires a genuine connection with self first. Then there are a number of ways to find connection with others when we want. It helps to connect with others in many different ways, in many types of relationships. For example, I can have a sports watching buddy that can call on when the Royals are playing baseball, or a friend that is interested in the same hobby I am. And I can have some casual life-sharing conversations with a coworker during breaks in a workday. And I can keep in contact with old schoolmates I've known for many years. I can continue to work on growing closer to my significant other. I can work with a therapist on difficult issues I'm encountering in life. These are all different kinds of relationships. If I have numbers of different kinds of relationships in my life, loneliness becomes less likely. The feeling of loneliness can actually be a helpful hint for me that there is some imbalance in my life at the moment and that I need to adjust some things, like where and with whom I'm spending my time and energy, and how I'm looking at myself in the whole scheme of things. If one can look at loneliness in this way, it becomes less of a burden and pain and more of a valuable messenger, helping to guide me to greater mental, emotional, and spiritual health.